What's up, guys? So I don't really know what everybody's complaining about on the length of the NES controller for the Mini. I've got 8 feet of it right here, and you can see some of my trickery right there. Anyway, I want to first of all just excuse the one take camera deal here. I have maybe about 45 minutes of light left, and I'll be working all week, so by the time I get home it'll be dark. So let's just get into it. So here's the NES Mini. You guys have all heard about it probably. Very sought after. I was lucky enough to pick this thing up, and yeah, I mean, there were 6 of them at Walmart. We got one of them. The other guy bought, I think, 3 of them, and then there was 2 other people, or one other. Yeah, what was it? Yeah, 2 other people. So 3 people total. You know all this, Mario. So I've done a few things to mine to make it a little bit different. So I'll hit reset, and that's a little bit different. So excuse the CRT. Doesn't film very well, so I have to close the iris on the camera. So this is a little bit different. Got quite a few more systems here. So have you ever seen let's do Sonic 2. So we're playing Sonic 2 on NES Mini. Alright, so let me show you the next little trick here. So if you're familiar with the NES Mini, you would know that this does not open. And what I have in here are a few touch switches. So if I push plus, I can move to save slot 5. Actually, I don't want to, that's my personal one. I'll just do a save slot 0, hit save, and we've just created a snapshot right there. So then I will let this, well, I'll have to oh, there we go. And wow, that took a while to die. So there, I've killed Sonic, and if I just press the load button, we've restored that save spot. So that just makes it easier for people who are not familiar with the software that this thing is running now, and also it doesn't have enough buttons for all the hotkeys to do that normally. So let me hit reset. What I'm running on this is RetroPie. It is really cool operating system with emulation station. There's the Raspberry Pi. I've also added composite video out and analog outputs, which is really just tied into the 3.5mm jack there. Let me open the iris a little bit so you can see. And these are just front USB jacks in the front there, and this is a keyboard emulator that uses resistive buttons that I've set up for reset and the different load buttons, and it takes different voltages when it sees those buttons being pressed, and just have it programmed to do different keyboard commands for exiting emulator and all that stuff. So this is what it looks like on the back. That's where the original HDMI output was. And It's just epoxied over. So here's the controller. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. This is what I'm really using for all the other systems and games that are on here. This is annoying, I have to do this. So you can see the CRT. This is an 8-bit DOE Bluetooth. This is the NES 30 Pro, and I also have as a second controller the FC30 Pro, which is the Famicom version of the NES controller. So very nice controllers. And what this is just this is the original housing and dome buttons that came with the NES Mini. This is the 2016 controller. It's got those warnings on the back. As you can see, compared to an original NES controller, it does not have all those safety warnings. So this is just a cheapo NES controller that's I think it was $9, and the actual plastic itself is very chintzy feeling. It's not a very nice feeling controller, and really the biggest problem is the spongy buttons and the D-pad. Very, very sloppy, but thankfully the USB interface went right into the NES controller. This interface board works in the original and the NES Mini because they're almost identical on the inside, at least. So that's for using any TurboGrafx 16, NES, Master System, a few PlayStation games, even a few. Depends on the game, really. If it only uses B and A for the main buttons. But yeah, there's no better way to play NES games than on an original style NES controller. For everything else, that's what these guys are here for. This has your analogs, the L and R3, the shoulder buttons, so R1, R2, A, B, X, Y. So really great controller. Works on Android, PC, all that stuff. So I'll show you what a PlayStation game is like. And I don't want to sit here and wait through all the loading, so I'll go to my save slot 5 and click load, or push load, and there we go. And currently having a bad time. Yep, having a pretty bad time with this level, so yeah, I'm definitely not gonna be able to play it one-handed. Oh, why do I keep doing that? So anyway, you get the point. Save and load, all that good stuff. I'm actually pretty disappointed. Oh, okay, wait, because I'm using very hard to play one-handed. Ah, alright. Not very good. So just hit reset. You can also restart the game, or I'm sorry, go back to the menu by pressing start and select at the same time. That will exit the game. And if you want to save on the fly, you can hold select and hit R1 for save, and select and L1 to load. And to select your different save slots, you can select, and I think it's up and down or left or right, I can't remember. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down, and I'm gonna hook it up to the HD TV so you can really get a good sense of how this is looking on a HD TV. Alrighty, so I got it hooked up to the HDMI jack in the back. Let's go ahead and power it on. And I've got this thing set up to boot silently, which means it's not showing any boot text. Well, that's the TV booting up. And this is a cool video splash screen that somebody made. I just added some sound effects to it. So there we go, emulation station. And I'm running out of cord here. Actually, I'll just unplug the camera. So let me lower this a bit. So this is the original NES music, NES Mini music. I just hooked it up to a, well, that's beside the point. I recorded the audio directly out of the HDMI onto the computer, and I have some little script running in the background that somebody was good enough to make, because Emulation Station does not have background music. So you can see how much nicer it actually looks. That flickering that you're seeing, that's not visible to the eyes, that's just the camera not really agreeing. But I think you'll agree it looks a little bit better than it does on a CRT. Gameplay looks awesome on a CRT. The menus do look a little bit more fuzzy because CRTs are lower resolution, and I think the way that they emit light just really messes with cameras. If you can remember how bad it looked when I was doing my Chromecast video on that thing. Anyway, so got quite a few systems, and you go into each system. You can see the artwork looks very nice. Very nice artwork. Nice menu. This is a 8-bit styled theme for Emulation Station called Pixel. And when I'm on the CRT, I have a version that I made that makes everything bigger, so you can read it clearly, even on that little TV. And this looks really cool on that. I'll have to maybe get a clip of that and edit it in later. So, yep, we've got everything on here. Actually, this does a lot more. I shouldn't say it does everything, or that I have it set up to do everything. This thing is capable of running multiple systems. I mean, this is just what I have set up here. This is the TurboGrafx 16. It's called the PC Engine in Japan. So, got original arcade games. Nintendo 64, it's a little bit flaky, the emulator's not super great, but it's playable. Mario 64 at least, which is really the only game I play, because I didn't have a 64. Super Nintendo. Donkey Kong Country looks great. Just gonna go with a new game here. So part of the reason why I added the composite video on the back is that to me it was important that something like this is compatible with older TVs like this. There's just something about scan lines, and I know that you can add scan lines and stuff like that simulated, but when you get up to it you can just see how blocky it is, and just the way a CRT works, and it's obviously I can't really get in there, but that the natural scan lines of a CRT, just the games look great on old TVs like this. So that was super important to me. I mean, only having HDMI out was just kind of you know, not really what I was looking for. In case you're wondering what I did with the original guts, they're right here, and it still works. Here's the original guts of the controller, and I just have it just housed in an original NES controller for now, because this cheapo one is just so terrible I refuse to use it. But anyway, yeah, it works perfectly still. And this is controller port 1 and 2, so you could just plug that in there. That's the NES, or I'm sorry, the, well, NES Mini / Wii controller connector. It's a little proprietary connector, and you can see mine. Just the USB ports in there work perfectly. So, yep. And then I just, because I'm still using the PCB from the switch here, that's what would have connected this ribbon cable. I rigged up this little number for power and reset. Just really is a, I don't really want to play it, and I don't know. Just, I guess maybe if I sell it one day I can prove that it does work without taking apart my NES to get in there. But yeah, it'd be kind of neat if somebody could crack into this, figure out how to mess with the UI. The UI is cool, I'll give it that. Actually, this thing originally is a really great deal for 60 bucks. I mean, let's be real, not everybody's going to be able to set up a Raspberry Pi and, you know, set up all the ROMs. It gets confusing, you know, it's not just something anybody can do. Well, most people. A lot of people don't have patience, but this is a great thing for 60 bucks, HDMI out. They even did the simulated scan lines. I mean, they did a really good job on this thing for what it is. I really have to say, 60 bucks, not bad. 30 decent games, not bad at all. They messed up with the controller length. That's a big mess up. And they messed up with the ability that you can't hit start and select and return to the menu. So you have to, you know, you have to be near this thing to hit reset, where you know, I don't even have to do that. Here, watch. See, I'll save right here. Save state saved. Then I'll exit. Go back to it, and won't have to go through all that loading. Just hit load, right back to where we were. So, I remember playing this for the first time, my mind was blown. Really fun game. What's the buttons here? Why can't I? What's the matter with me? There we go. Yeah, it's a tough one to play one-handed. Anyway, so yeah, start and select, exits, it's the same as doing reset there. This is a paperclip hinge that I made to emulate a trunk hinge on a car because I wanted a very tight gap here. I didn't want a big gap for a room for a hinge. So as you can see, when I open it, it lifts up like a car trunk, so the back is lifting up. And this is a messy glue gun deal there. I just let me lower that. I just didn't want I didn't want to epoxy this yet. I want to figure out a more elegant solution, maybe a little something I can put on there and cut down the globs of glue. This is also kind of shoddily glue gunned in there. It's just to work right now. I'm not completely set on the colors of those buttons, and yeah, you can see that's the part where it's not totally done. I'd say everything that's in here is pretty much done. This is also not secured down, but once this is on there, it doesn't rattle around or anything. So yeah, it's not totally done, but I've been working on this thing for a little bit over a week, and I just want to enjoy it. Also have a Mouseberry auto shutdown switch, which is why, if you're familiar with the Pi, you're probably noticing I don't have the micro USB power going in here. That's actually going underneath. There's a Mouseberry auto shutdown circuit, and what that does is, I'll go ahead and shut the thing off. You'll see the light is still on. You see it's shut down, and what it's doing is running a shutdown script to safely shut down the Raspberry Pi, because the Raspberry Pi does not have an actual power switch. So what you'd have to do is hit start, go down to shutdown. It was a whole process, and if you don't do that, you have the possibility of corrupting your SD card. So basically, yeah, that was the only answer for me, was to have a shutdown switch, and I have that soldered. Everything is soldered, by the way, let me mention that. So the two USB things here, this USB for this keyboard emulator, it's all running underneath, and then it's all hard soldered underneath the original USB port, so you can't actually use. There's one free USB port, which I may add another USB port on the back, but I don't think so, because I don't really have a huge reason to do that. Most things I'd need to do are right on the front, like if I was transferring ROMs or something like that. I could just and I've tried to make several videos tutorial on how to build these things. I can't do it. I just can't do it. What I am going to do, though, in the very near future is I'm just going to tear apart. I built like 3 of these things trying to fill them. I have like 18 hours of unusable, frustrated footage where I'm just angry and I'm just not putting together a good tutorial. But what I will do is just tear these things down and show you how to make an SD floppy disk. So essentially by doing this now, I can load ROMs, open source, I mean, not open source, but community made ROMs. I can just pop the ROMs in there. Now I have a Nintendo FDS, and it will suck all the ROMs off of there. So that's a, yeah, like the Japanese Famicom floppy disk. That is so cool. Yeah, because I think the SD floppy disk is what made me famous here on YouTube. That's hard to do one-handed, but yep. It's just an SD card reader in the shape of a floppy. So you notice if I put it in there now, it does not work because there's no SD card in there. Anyway, I don't think I'm missing anything. I think I hit it all, pretty much. Talked about the controller, talked about the main board. So what I'll do is I'll just add a few more pictures on the end there, the slideshow at the end, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.